Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Builders and Visionaries podcast. Today we're joined by Nathan Ricks, who is the co-founder and COO of Velonir, where he's helping companies rethink how work gets done with AI. Nathan started his career at Goldman Sachs, moved into venture capital, and then became an operator and founder. Today, he's focused on helping enterprises redesign workflows and AI-enabled operating systems, giving him a unique perspective on where AI is creating real operational leverage versus where the hype is getting ahead of reality. Thanks for showing up today, Nathan. Looking forward to diving in with you.
Yeah, really excited. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, you got it. At Velonir, as far as I understand, you're helping companies redesign workflows around AI and dropping AI tools into the way they already operate. What does that actually look like, day to day, and where are you seeing the biggest opportunities to create real operational leverage?
Yeah, so I'd say by the whole dropping in AI, I think that's actually an important piece of it. I think the promise of AI is how flexible it is. It can work with your existing systems, it can work with your existing processes. Because it is flexible and is almost just like a smart new grad fresh out of school that you can drop into any environment and can get it to work well with some training, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, our whole idea is being able to work with existing systems, even if you're working with an old ERP system, even if you're working with a newer CRM, even if you're working with other AI tools. The ability to have an agent which is able to use APIs, is able to use browser automation, is able to connect with these various systems, and then be trained on certain highly repeatable processes makes it a great flexible tool that you can just drop into your workplace. But as I mentioned, it does need to be trained. Most AI systems today, I think you can trust them with a decent number of things, but for the most critical workflows within a business, you need that human element to teach the AI what to do, to show it what to do, to provide that feedback if you want it to be working reliably in the future.
So whenever you walk into a company, like how do you identify like workflows or something like that somebody would need to, you know, need help with AI on?
Yeah, it's a matter of like really seeing where humans spend their time today. That's kind of where our eyes go first. And so understanding the key operational people within the business, the people who are doing the on the ground work of the business,
Okay.
operationally speaking, seeing where they're spending their time and seeing whether it is the same type of activities over and over again, where it's the same general shape of inputs, it's the same steps they need to go through, and there's the same shape of outputs that you want coming out of that process. So
Okay.
we try to identify those and see where humans are spending their times on those type of processes, because that's really great for AI.
Yeah.
Something where it's pretty predictable what's going to come in. It has some variance and there's some edge cases of what comes in, but you have the steps that you need to go through, a skeleton workflow process. And then it has some sort of shape of what's supposed to come out of that process. So
Okay.
it could be on one side, an invoice comes in. What do you do with that invoice when your company receives an invoice? What steps do you go through? What systems do you log it in? How do you code that bill? How do you itemize it? How do you create a new vendor in your ERP system? And then what is the end result of that? Is it supposed to be somebody sending out payment or, scheduling payment for a future date? So being able to spot that process and see that it's the same type of thing over and over again, it's a great chance for being able to introduce AI.
So like highly repeatable processes that may or may not have a tangent here or there, right?
Yeah, well, the highly repeatable and the part of the beauty of AI is that it's okay if there is edge cases where there is a bit of a tangent and new processes. It's important to set up guardrails with the AI to understand, hey, this is falling too far outside of your wheelhouse. You should definitely flag it and give it
Yeah.
to a human. Or if you are unable to complete some certain point in the process, flag it, bring it up to a human. That's part of designing a good system, is to make sure that it can know when to flag for help. But again, yeah, I think the beauty of AI is that it's a general intelligence system and it doesn't need to, with traditional code, something will break if it's just one bit flip. It's a zero instead of a one, and or one instead of a zero, like, and then the whole machine just breaks and it's like cannot compute. Luckily, AI systems, and especially dealing with text, which LLMs are very adept at, they can deal with that ambiguity and make judgment calls, but while still having guardrails and bringing in humans when necessary.
Right on. Um, I guess my next question is around yeah, so you've gone from finance and venture capital into operating companies and now building around AI. Um, when you specifically look at where enterprise AI is headed, what capability shift do you think is genuinely going to change how companies operate and not just make individual employees a little more productive?
Yeah, it's, I mean, I'm trying to think how to answer this properly. I mean, there's a lot of technological changes that are coming within the realm of AI that I think will make AI more adoptable and more cost effective. I mean, one big thing is this the whole debate around open source models versus the closed models that are owned by the likes of Anthropic and OpenAI. And obviously, the cost effectiveness of these open weight models is quite stark. And thus, AI systems can hopefully be deployed here in the coming years that are much more cost effective for the amount of intelligence that you're getting out of it. And we'll find more places to find a home within the enterprise that have strong ROI. So I think that's like one technological trend that's touching AI that I think is going to make a big difference. But I think the rollout of AI just generally is going to take a little bit of time. Unfortunately, it's going to take individuals opening up their mind to where AI can be applied in their business. Because what we find for the most part is that companies just don't even realize all the different areas where AI can be utilized. And it really does take an outside expert who's done this and seen this in businesses before to be able to be like, hey, actually, this is a great spot for AI, and let us show you that it can be done with AI. And the customer is often quite shocked, like, oh, I just didn't even conceive that that was possible. And so much of the work that's being done in the US economy today, there's so much of it that people just don't even realize that AI is a fit or the technology is there for that particular workflow that they're doing every day. And it's going to take time for people to wake up to that and then start to implement it and adjust accordingly. So I think it's just it's just going to be a process over the next few years of getting it rolled out.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you brought up the open versus closed model, the foundational models that they have right now.
Yeah.
So, like, in your opinion, do you think that the bigger opportunity is, better AI models, or is it better agents, or companies that are just adopting it in general?
I'd say more of the latter two. I don't think the models need to be that much better in order to produce a ton of value in the economy.
Yeah.
Um, the agentic harnesses, like how you control an LLM to do work for you and how you make it feel and act autonomously, and the systems that you have in place around that LLM. And so what we call the harness, that piece, yes, I think there's going to be a decent amount of innovation that's going to occur in the next few years. It's something that kind of really towards the end of 2025, early this year with the release of OpenClaw, for example, there is a lot more attention going to this spot. And it's the place where LLMs are going to be able to make the most impact is with agents that are able to do work autonomously. And I think there's still more innovation to be had there. I mean, our company, that's like a lot of what we're technologically focused on is how do we build a better harness around these LLMs to make it so it's more predictable, more deterministic, more intelligent, able to take in more context from the environment to make better decisions. So that's a lot of what our work is on. And then, yes, the latter point is just a matter of adoption and the slow drudge of getting it into companies, which I think we're still in the early adopter phase. But once we're in that like meaty middle of adoption, it's going to be quite tremendous.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You're seeing it happen already. I mean, you've got Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA. He's commoditizing the complement, right? Like he's issuing out all these LLMs, open source, but he's really focused on the the software that drives them, right? Not only that, the hardware that drives them,
Yeah.
specifically in Jensen's case. So
Yeah.
being able to identify that, the LLMs themselves, I don't think necessarily are going to hold the keys to the kingdom in the future. That's becoming a commodity. Uh, it's becoming something that's so ubiquitous that the knowledge is there.
Yeah, it is. I I mean, and there are strong, I mean, to get philosophical here,
Let's do it.
um,
Let's do it.
there is like definitely the big questions in my mind that come up with this trend are, does this potentially undermine kind of a lot of what the US economy has been betting on for the
Yeah,
last few years?
yeah,
Like, I mean, aside from the valuations of OpenAI and Anthropic, which I don't know, have the potential to come down drastically because
right.
of this development with these Chinese models, there's also the infrastructure build out. And
And
you
all the
still need the
companies that have
infrastructure to
invested
run
in
the
them. Yeah.
inference. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And all the companies that invested in them as well.
Yeah, right. Yes. There's just so much money and infrastructure, and there's a big bet within this economy on AI going the direction that we think it will. And so that's not to say, at least on the infrastructure side, it's still, I don't know if it necessarily speaks negatively or positively to the infrastructure side of things. It still could be the case that we will need that much infrastructure to do the inference. And we'll just be doing it a lot more on Chinese models or US based open source models. Um, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to all play out and whether the U.S. economy is going to be able to continue to grow on the trajectory with that being the case, and whether these, even like, let's imagine a world where Anthropic and OpenAI completely died because of these open source models like across the economy. I would be very surprised if that happened, but if it did, is it then possible that the Chinese models are not able to progress because they were actually, or other models were not able to progress because they were distilling the intelligence from these leading edge models, and thus they don't make very much progress in the future, and then it stalls out, and you actually do need a forefront lab that isn't getting distilled to actually produce these. That's an open question as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but I think overall consumers and companies are going to benefit from open source models. We certainly have seen a decent cost reduction by switching to them for certain tasks. I think that's part of the equation though too, is like you really need to look at the task level and the workflow level and see what model is going to be most appropriate here. You do probably want the best coding model when you're doing a piece of coding work. You probably do want, again, depending on the complexity, I guess. And then you're going to want a cheaper, faster, leaner model for certain like text-based evaluations. So there's going to be a place, I think, for everything. And that's a kind of also part of what, like, the beauty of what we're building here is that we can build very modular systems where you can, for certain workflows or certain tasks, call up only certain LLMs to be the most cost effective.
Oh wow, you guys have solved for that.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been fully rolled out into all of our customer deployments, but like, yeah, we have that like underway where it's able to call up different models depending on the task that's being done.
That's huge. That's one of the biggest things that I struggle with personally, whenever creating out these agentic models. Um, the fact that you've or that you guys are thinking about and potentially rolling out a solution that allows these agents to select their own models based upon the task that needs to occur. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. So,
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
I think like right now it's small enough scale that it actually doesn't matter that much.
right.
But it does really start to matter when you get to big volumes, big companies.
Oh yeah.
Then it starts to like really make a difference. So it's something we need to think about now.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so kind of moving on to my last question. right now there's a huge gap between companies saying that they're using AI and actually changing their economics or operations from it. What are you seeing inside these organizations? There are companies that are there's a new headline every single week that they spend companies are reporting that they spent millions of dollars with very little proof that anything actually happened. Um, so I guess
Yeah.
well, where does the implementation break down still from your standpoint, and what has to change for it to move from experimentation into a core operating model?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the experimentation, that's the phase that we've been in since the beginning of the year. And well, I mean, even longer than that, it's just been experimentation. And I think it's a necessary phase. People need to experiment and understand where AI can be applied and where it can't, and to understand also where it can be most valuable within a company. I mean, there's so many companies that just because they felt they needed to decide to just give people all of the tokens they wanted and give them subscriptions to all these expensive models and see what they
Worst
do and
way
what they
to
can build.
eat.
And yeah, and it, a lot of it got wasted. But at the end of the day, like, is it fully wasted? I don't know. Probably not. Like, in the sense that they probably learned a lot and they now know where they can apply it and where they can't. The thing that we're seeing, the slightly different point though, is like in terms of implementation across these companies, what we're seeing is that they often, it depends on the industry. And we focus on industrials, insurance, retail, wholesale, logistics, middle market companies that are not based in San Francisco or in New York. So they like tend to be a little bit less like AI pilled.
Sure.
And so the talent that they have internally to be able to deploy these models or actually build agents that can handle really important sensitive workflows is less. They just don't have the talent internally to do it. And so it is a matter of like helping them get educated, helping show them the path, and then being a trusted partner to actually get it implemented. Um, because today a lot of what they're doing, these companies, they might have Cloud Code and they might use it for helping drafting emails. They might use it for um, analyzing large pieces of text, doing research reports, maybe even like creating Excel files and helping organize some information. They might use the internal agent within Notion if they happen to have Notion to be able to like do some work within Notion. But they, for their most critical workflows, the workflows that take the most amount of time, they really, they often lack the technical expertise to figure out how to make that highly repeatable workflow done consistently well by AI agents in a secure way. And so that's what our whole job is to come and help them do that.
I couldn't have wrapped that up better myself. Doing it the right way, secure, uh,
And cost effectively too. And
and
like, yeah,
cost
not just,
effectively, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's
rather than just using the a lot of companies that we talk with do have Cloud Code, and they've experimented with Cloud Code and built some cool things with it,
yeah.
no doubt. And there's like there's a decent amount of low hanging fruit that you can pick up with that, and we think that's great. And we think there's another layer, the deeper layer of the more important things that you should be automating that it probably makes sense to bring in somebody a little bit technical to figure out.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Nathan, how can folks find you? Tell everybody how to find you,
Yeah.
how to contact you.
LinkedIn is a great spot. Nathan Ricks. The company's name is Velonir, Velinar. Oh, sorry, Anir. Sorry, getting a little
Cool.
dyslexic here.
You pop
And
it up.
yeah, there you go. And Velonir.ai is the website. And yeah, that's the best place to connect with me. That's where I put kind of my thought pieces out as regularly as I can. And I often, yeah, I reply to almost every message that gets sent to me there. So that's a great spot.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on, Nathan. I love it whenever I'm meeting some folks on some issues that I'm running into on a daily basis, trying to figure this stuff out myself. Um, if anybody's looking for an expert, look no further. Nathan's your guy. So appreciate you taking the time being on today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks. Bye.